Okay, this is video 7 where we're actually going to create the center lines for the dig, but we've got to do a couple of things first. One of those is to actually measure the distance that we need to find the center of. Now on this drawing we've actually got some lines which help us. We've got center lines already for the dig, and we've got these bits of text, which is 600 wide trench fill, which I mentioned earlier. So we know that we should be 300 millimeters each side of, or down this center line, which should be 300 mil. And we've also got a 450 wide trench fill here. So what we need to do is we need to measure between these two corner pieces with a line, and then with the measure tool to see if that is exactly 450. And also we need to measure across the width of this. So to do that, we my machine shows me my measure tool already, but most people will find it under utilities and measure and distance. So what I'm going to do is going to measure from the end point of there to what I'm actually going to do is going to measure across this distance. So I need to set my object snaps up. So again, what we've done before, shift and right click will give us the object snap settings. I'm going to go into my object snap settings and turn perpendicular on. So that's a really useful one if you want to go from a line across, straight across to the next sort of perpendicular line. So yeah, that's interesting. So I've measured across, and it's actually 597 mil rather than 600. So our drawing is slightly off. So if I'm going to draw a line, I've typed L for line, select line from the corner here to the perpendicular of that. And basically that midpoint here is the center line. Now it does actually match this center line that's been drawn in already, which is dimensioned from. So we can actually use that center line for these purposes, but normally you wouldn't have this center line. You'd have to draw lines from the corners to the perpendicular, and then basically from the midpoint of the line to the next midpoint of the line. Sometimes you get intersection if you're a bit too close. So there's our center line basically on that one edge, and then we do the same around this edge. Now what you can do with this one, with drawing lines, you can actually draw from corner to corner, and it gives you the same line across. And what I haven't done is draw another line across to this corner, so I need to draw that as well. All I'm doing is literally L for line, return, and then selecting the endpoints and midpoints that we need. Now what you'll notice is that I haven't noticed myself that I've been drawing everything in the blue line rather than by layer, so I'm just going to change that quickly. Now one useful tool that I haven't introduced you to yet is the match properties icon up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select match properties, and I know that everything that I want to be green, all of these lines I want to be green. So it says, when you click on match properties, it says, okay, select the source object. So the source object is the one I want, which has the color already correct. So it's that one, and I'm going to just select all the lines that I've just drawn. Also, the advantage to having the layer underneath locked is that it won't select any of those lines and change the color of those, which is quite useful. So yeah, this is how you draw your lines. And let's put that up in the blind layer this time. I'll just go around the whole object, the whole plot, and draw lines all around it. Sometimes you have to zoom in fairly close to get the midpoint if you've got more than a couple of object snaps selected. Okay, so that's all our, except for that one, most of our outer lines done. I'm just using the scroll mouse, middle scroll wheel on the mouse to zoom in and out, which is a very effective way of getting about on here. And I'll just do a double check with this. Yeah, you see, that's interesting. That point there is not actually the right point at all. So I can't go across these 2 points because that's different from there to there. So I'm going to use the dotted line to go across there. And what you could do is you could actually measure across and measure across here, and then measure down here, draw a line across, and then fillet it. But for these purposes, I won't worry too much about that. So again, this corner here is quite sort of off-putting because it's not actually giving us the midpoint. It comes up too far, if you like. So because this drawing's already got the kind of center lines marked in with this dotted line, we kind of have to go with that because that's how they want it drawn. Okay, so we're just going around it and drawing lines. Now on our on this trench, let's see where this line takes us. Yeah, that's exactly right, which is good. And we can go from there and we can draw another line here, because then we know that we've got a line which we can draw from the midpoint of that line to the midpoint of that. And we know that it's actually following that correct line. And in a minute we're going to use fillet command to join up the corners. And do this trench as well. In the corner of the perpendicular. This one we can go corner to corner here, and then midpoint to the midpoint, or midpoint to the midpoint, or perpendicular, doesn't really matter a great deal. And we'll go across here as well. Midpoint all the way down to this midpoint there. So we're kind of getting there now. What I'll do is I'll do another line here and extend this line. So what you can actually do is if you select the line without having any commands going, you get what they call grips, and you get blue boxes, which means that it's selected the line but you haven't selected any point on that line. So you can actually select the blue box there and it goes red, and basically it means that you can stretch the line out and manipulate the line around itself, and then if you escape out a couple of times it takes the grips off. So now I'm just going to go around and delete the the sort of the lines that I use to create our centre line for digs or on the corners. Okay, so now that we've done our lines, we've got a few areas that need to be sort of joined up, and there's two commands that we can use here. We can use fillet and we can use extend, and for some of the areas extend is more useful. So for this line we want to extend it up to this point here, but we can't use our grips to sort of extend it up to midpoint or whatever, because that isn't a midpoint. But we could potentially use our grips to extend it up to the perpendicular there, which would actually work quite well. And it all depends on how well we've got our object snap set up. So again, we can do the same here. We can use our grips and extend the line up to that corner because we know that that's going to match in. What we don't have in some areas, like here and here and here, is a line to extend up to, which would give us a nice midpoint. We've got one here, so we can do that one. Missed it. To the perpendicular of that. We've got one here, so we'll do all the ones we can create with grips first. Yeah, okay. So just escape out of that. So what we need to do here is we need to fillet this line to this line, and that is using the fillet command, which is F on the keyboard, and you've got fillet at the top, or you've got modify, and you should find fillet down here somewhere. There we go. So fillet. What it does, it says, right, select first object, or undo polyline radius, trim multiple. We're going to check what the radius is. It's not actually telling us at the moment. So if we type R, and it tells us our radius at the moment is 0, which is exactly what we want. So we'll just hit return on that because we want that to be 0. So what we're going to do is select the first line and then the second line, and they have to be opposite angles. If you selected this line and this line, it wouldn't fillet it properly, so they have to be at right angles to each other, or at an angle to each other. So you can see when you select the second line that it actually tells or shows you what you're going to get. So that's exactly what we want. Okay, so we're going to hit return to get back into the fillet command again, and we'll fillet a couple more. We want this one here. Zoom out and zoom into this bit. Select fillet again. I'm going to fillet that one and that one. and we can then return and hit fillet that one and that one. And that should be everything done. All of our lines, all of our center dig lines should be created.